All right, so I've received a lot of inquiries about how to pass a certification exam. So this is my 10 tips on how to pass a certification exam. Just a little background because it might be important to know why I'm sharing this with you. I've taken my share of certification exams in the last 10 years. Some I've passed. I failed a few, and the question is, why did I fail the ones that I failed, right? And I'm going to share with you why. So here's my profile. I own a tech company and a training institute. I do teach cybersecurity and forensics at a school in the US and in Dubai. I have over 34 years experience with degrees in law, computer science, cybersecurity, and an MBA. And I have my own share of certifications from PMP, ITIL, Security Plus. I have almost all of the CompTIA certs all the way to the highest, which is CSP Plus. And I also have this a SACA one. I'm also a certified technical trainer. And I continue to take other courses like the one from I think the British, the Heightsfield, whatever they call them. All right, so that's how you can reach me on Twitter, social media, as in LinkedIn. All right, I guess Twitter is now called X. All right, so tip number one, let's make this as fast and short as possible. Whatever certification you want to do, you need to research that certification. What I mean by this is you should go on the website of the granting organizations. If I'm going to take a CompTIA certification, I should go and research. Because really, not all certifications is meant for everybody. No matter how much I try, I could not get a certification in electronics. It wouldn't make any sense, and I'm not even interested. So make sure you researched it and it's what is right for you. That also includes go to the website of the company, right? CompTIA.org, ISACA or ISC Square. And you should talk to those who have taken the certification if you know them, right? And then check some social media, whether it be Google, DuckDuckGo, and watch a few YouTube videos. Now, I don't believe in talking to those who have not taken the certification exam. I had a colleague once that he talked down on certification exams, and he didn't have any. So talk to those who have it so you can see if it's right for you, all right? And then, because knowledge is key. And then number two is this. You need to read and understand the candidate agreement and the exam policies, right? I had a very brilliant student that had to take an exam, I think in Nigeria. He didn't even understand that he had to have, I think, an international passport or something with an ID. He got to the venue, unfortunately sent him back, and we lost the voucher for that exam. So what does it mean? Some exams you have breaks, some you don't have any breaks. Some to take breaks, you leave everything on the desk. When you come back in, they set your pocket. They even check your glasses to make sure it's not spy glasses. Like the PMP exam, which is almost like 4 hours, you can take breaks in between. So what I did mine in the US, somewhere in Maryland. I just put a couple of candy bars and water on top of the locker. So when I took my 1 hour, 2 hour break, I go over there, I drink water, eat a little candy bar, and I go back because it's allowed in the exam. Some don't allow you to leave. Just make sure you understand the policies, right? And number three, I call this lighting a fire under you. You should register for the exam immediately. Some be like, oh, yeah, well, I don't know when I'm going to take. No, just register for the exam. Pick a date. What that does is it helps you even in the next point, but it helps you kind of get serious. And Americans will say light a fire under you because you have now a goal to achieve. And this is what I tell all my students. And number four is this. You need to choose a dependable training course or vendor or provider. Don't take a certification course from somebody who's never taken the exam or is not certified in the area. See, I say who's never taken the exam because like I've taken some exams and passed, and maybe I didn't do the certification because I might not want it or I needed to take the exam for another purpose. But I tend to not teach courses that I don't even have the certifications, so I have to make sure. So try and take it from an instructor that has a certification. Because at least they can tell you what the exam looks like. So now I had a little consulting job where I go to exam with people with disability, like autistic people, and I have to read the exam question. I'm sorry if I use the word disability and you offend anybody. Some places say people of determination. So just when I do that, I cannot teach that certification course for a while. There's a preclusion, right? because I guess they figure I know how the exams questions are. But the point is, take a dependable training vendor or course provider. Ask them what's your certification, what's your exam success rate. The one we just did, we had 100% success rate, right? And number 5 is set a realistically rigid study schedule. This is like an oxymoron, but what I mean by this is this. When I'm taking some exams, I set a schedule, how much I'm going to do every day or whatever day of the week I set aside, and try to stick with it. I say realistic because, you know, if you're married with kids and you've got other stuff, you might not be able to study at 1 o'clock in the afternoon on a Sunday or on a Saturday. So maybe like me, I get up early in the morning and I can study, or when my son goes to bed, I can study afterwards, right? Or I take a study break a little when the mom is watching him, and then I use my break to go and spend time with my family. But just make sure you stick to the schedule, because it's very easy to forget about what you're doing or get sidetracked. But there is never a perfect study plan. Number 6 is I say mix up your study method. I found it's not like I'm endorsing a vendor, but let me give you an example. I've used Set Mike on my CISSP exam. I've used CompTIA, I think it's called Set Master. I've used UCertify. I've used Test Out a lot. So, and I use YouTube videos, and I use little apps you can download on your phone or your iPad. So mix it up. It's like muscle confusion when you are doing exercise or trying to get in shape. This becomes like intellectual or brain confusion, because you want to be able to know different things, both rote learning, memorizing, and also the labs. Mix up how you do those things, and it will help you to remember more, right? My own teaching approach is I talk as in I say what I'm going to show you, right? And I show you the lab, and I have you practice the lab, and then we'll come back again and review. So you can use that. You know, you can be in your car, you can be listening to a YouTube video or something, but just mix it up, and it will help you. Number 7 is always get a good night's sleep. One exam that I failed, it was AWS exam years ago. What happened was I stayed up all night. I had so many things to do, and I went to the exam venue. Because some of these exams are performance-based exams. Like you got to sit down and you got to think about the questions, right? And if you don't have enough sleep, especially the exams where the questions are very close to each other, where you have like 2 good answers or possible answers, and you have to decide which one is best. So get a good night's sleep. And this also, you say, don't do last-minute cramming. I didn't put it in there, but most people don't get a good night's sleep because they're cramming the night before the exam, right? I guess that could be tip number 11, but I didn't put that now. Number 8 is arrive at the venue early. So let me see. I've taken exams in at least 2 different countries and maybe more than 6 different cities. I've done Dubai, Abu Dhabi. Have I done Miami? I've done Frederick, Maryland. I've done Hagerstown, Maryland. I've done Columbia, Maryland. I think I've done DC or something, depending on where I am in the world and when I need to take the exam. But I always try to check the traffic or have an idea. Like one I did in Dubai, it was a Saturday morning, but I still didn't assume there was not going to be any traffic. Or I did one in DC that it took me over an hour just to get there. So arrive at the venue early, but don't arrive too early. Because you arrive too early, you might start getting nervous, or you might be sleeping in the car or sitting down and other things take over. Just get there like maybe 15, 20 minutes early or 30 minutes and just maybe spend a few minutes in your car. For me, since I'm a person of faith, I decompress, I pray before I go to my exam venue. For some of you, it might be meditation, but arrive early, so you're not really rushed or stressed. And then tip number 9 is this: during the exam, I also say relax and pace yourself. What does this mean? So if, say you're taking a Security Plus, you got 90 questions maximum, right? But you know, if you have more labs, you have less questions, but the labs tend to take longer. So pace yourself and don't spend too much time on a particular question. So if I see from question number 3, and I'm looking at, I've taken 3 minutes on that question and I've got 60 more questions, I got to pace myself. But you got to relax and say, okay, I've studied well for this exam and I know my stuff, I know the contents. Just pace yourself and allocate your time properly for the labs, right? And then just go during the exam, right? So just relax, pace yourself. And then finally, this is the thing. I always tell my students, when you're taking the exam, some exams, except for the Cisco exam that I took, which I passed, the CCENT back then, you cannot go backwards, right? Some exams you can mark and go backwards to review. So if you have the opportunity, mark the question, or you hear the word flag the question, and then continue. When you finish, you have enough time, then come back. So always use up your time. I always tell myself, you're not going to get an award for finishing the exam the fastest. There's no award like that. Can't feel like, oh, I want to finish the exam. No. If they give you 90 minutes, you've allocated 90 minutes, take the time, go back and review your questions. But when you're reviewing your questions, I put this in red, do not second guess yourself. Unless you are 100, or this is an oxymoron again, 110% sure, do not change your answers. So go back, review your questions. If you're not sure about the answer, just leave it and move on, right? And unlike when I have an MBA, when I took the GMAT a long time ago, they penalize you for, I think, every 4 questions. I don't know if it's still like that. I don't want to tell you what year I took the GMAT, but I also took the LSAT and the GRE. But the GRE and LSAT don't penalize you for wrong questions, but the GMAT does. So most of the certification exams don't penalize you for wrong questions. So make sure you finish and answer the question. Even if you just have to guess and tick it off, make sure you tick off that question, right? And answer it. So please, if you've gone through this thing and it worked for you, come back and tell me if my tips worked for you. Or if you agree or disagree, now you can always leave a comment and send your comments. I don't mind you sending me insults to, like, oh, he doesn't know what he's talking about. But I put on here, what that emoji means, right? It's like sarcasm upside down. It says, just tone it down a little, please, right? But the point is, I'm hoping that this helps you, because certification is valuable. I believe in certs. I've had my computer science degree since in the 80s. For certification that enables me to stay current in different areas, right, of cybersecurity. So any questions, please feel free to send me the questions. If you like this video, subscribe to it so I can send you more content, or you get notified about more content when they come. And that's it for this one. Watch other videos that I send. And God bless and good luck on your exam.